The purpose of today's conversation is this. On Saturday, I did a Facebook Live about what to expect next. And what I wanted to do for you today is give an encore for those of you that weren't able to make it with me on Saturday and talk a little bit about kind of how do you keep yourself on track when life is full? How do you keep yourself focused? How do you keep yourself engaged in your business when the whole world seems like it's falling apart around you? And this is not a new conversation for those of you that have been in business for a while, like myself. This isn't our first rodeo. We've seen this type of distraction in the world before, but nothing to the extent that we've experienced over the last couple of years with COVID. So I wanted to take a few minutes. Hi, somebody's sending me love. I wanted to take a few minutes and to share with you two perspectives. What I realized is when I did this last week, or earlier this week, I should say, is that I was speaking to you from the personal and the professional. So I thought for today's live, it might be helpful if I broke it down for those of you that want to know, how do I stay on track personally and how do I stay on track professionally? And why are those two things important? Hi, Carrie. Good to see you, my friend. Good to have you here. So, here's the deal. Again, if you've been around for a little while, and we tend to be an audience of mature women business owners with a few really juicy, delicious men that pop in now and again who are part of our philanthropy circle, like Carrie, we so appreciate you. If you've been around for a while, you're probably seeing that it can be the same game. It's not like this is the first time we've seen life be distracting. My husband and I got married on January 1st of 2000, and I remember laying in bed the night before thinking, I wonder if the world's going to end, right? Because we had heard so much stuff about Y2K. And then shortly after that, obviously we woke up in the morning, got married, everything was okay on January 1st, thank goodness. There was a few computer snitches, but it wasn't like the world fell apart. Fast forward shortly thereafter, we experienced 9/11 and a tremendous amount of loss there. And that had a big impact, on all of us personally. It also had a big impact on our economy, and we made it through, right? And then 2008 happened. And I'm not using this time to give you a litany of all the things that have happened, but I'm often curious about how we choose to perceive what's happening, right? And how do we keep moving ourselves forward as leaders? So today's conversation is going to be really helpful for you if you're interested in staying on track when the rest of the world seems a little bit crazy, and how to do that, right? How to keep yourself on track, focused, moving forward, even when the rest of the world seems like it can be a little nutty. All right, so let's dive in. The first thing I'll say is that why it's important to look at this personally and professionally, quite simply, is this. We as a community tend to be a group of founders who have a deep mission in our work, right? We're called to come together to make a difference with our work, to really change the world. And at the same time, we're mere mortals, right? We get caught up in overwhelm. We get caught up in distraction. And life is really full. I always joke that we're not a community of type A's. We're a community of triple A's. Everyone that I know and hang out with has multiple things going on. Some of us have multiple businesses. Many of us have responsibilities for family members. We have commitments we've made to our churches, to our communities, to our schools, and it can be full, right? It can be a really full playground. So some of these principles that I'm going to speak with you about today, and please say hi and send me a message in the chat if anything that comes up for you as far as questions or anything you hear that you want me to go deeper on, let me know. And at the end, I'm so happy to answer questions. So if you're going to stick around for a little bit with me, let me know how I can support you. So what happens is I see commonalities in my AAAs, right? I see great people that want to make a huge difference in the world with a big calling on their lives, and we are a community of givers. What ends up happening is that sometimes we get out of balance, right? And we get overwhelmed and we get distracted. So today I want to talk to you about how important it is for you as a leader in your own life to start these tactics, these strategies, and these practices in order. And what you'll see is that there's a ripple effect, right? There's a ripple effect in your business. If you're a person who really knows that when you build a successful business, you can then not only take care of yourself, but give from your overflow to others, you're in the right place today. All right, so let's talk about how to keep yourself focused personally. Now, I've got 3 tactics for you personally, and I've got 3 tactics for you to grow your business. So hang in. If you're looking for business, I'll go there next, but right now I want to start with the personal. And there's a saying that how you do anything is how you do everything. And I think that's important to remember here. There's no lack of caring here. There's no lack of desire to create impact. What ends up happening is that life gets in the way. Now, life gets in the way in the macro, which is out in the big world, right? What we're seeing that's happening in the news, what's happening in Ukraine, what's happening for our economy. We see the macro, and then we see the micro. We have things like loved ones that get sick. We have moves. We have things that are going on that distract us personally. So to start, first and foremost, I'm going to give you the first 3 things about how to take care of yourself personally and stay on track. The first one is to remember to put your self-care first. Now, we are, again, a community of givers. It's at the heart of everything we do in this community. And what I find is that it's very easy to get depleted when we're just giving and giving and giving and not taking care of ourselves first. So the principle of self-care first is quite simply this. We have an acronym for self-care that I'll go through very quickly for you, because every time I do, people always ask me about it. So I'm going to give you the quick down and dirty about what I see as the principles of self-care. The first is sleep. I was diagnosed with a sleep disorder this last year, and it was pretty shocking to my system how so many things were related to sleep. And I want to go into it too deeply with you here, but I'll just tell you, any of you that have struggled with this, it's a pretty shocking thing to recognize how many systems in your body, meaning your heart, your thyroid, your weight, your energy, all these things are related to sleep. And I've been a big advocate for sleep for a long time, and we're finding out, again, more and more as I'm on my medical journey with this, how important it is, how everything in your body really gets healed. There's a reason why God set us up as machines that sleep for 1/3 of our lives. So if you want to talk to me more about that, let's do that in another call. Great book to read if you are struggling with sleep, called Why We Sleep. It's probably one of the best books I've read in the last 10 years. Why We Sleep. Wish I could tell you the name of the author, but I don't remember it right now. Next in the self-care acronym is exercise. Now, I'm not here to tell you that I'm a person who believes that you need to go out and run a marathon, but I do know that the body needs to move. In order to move toxicity, in order to move stress, we need to have some kind of movement. And I just went the other day, I was telling my team about this, I went to a chair yoga class. Woo. Right? You don't have to be out running a marathon to move, but your body does need you to clean and clear it. And so exercise really is non-negotiable. And after my husband had open heart surgery, which is going on almost 5 years now, thank goodness he's here and we're celebrating every day that we have together. When he had open heart surgery, his prescription, if you will, for exercise was simply to walk. And his doctor said to him, walking will add years to your life. Not just if you're a heart patient, but whoever you are. So get out, get moving, keep the body moving. The third thing in self-care that I practice, and I try to remember to practice more and more, is letting go. What are the things that are actually yours to do, and what are the things that you can let be? Right? There's a lot happening in the world that we don't have control of. One of the things that I know is that when I meet a woman and she's feeling overwhelmed, she's feeling anxious, she's feeling stressed out, it's usually because she's feeling a little out of control. And I want you to understand that there are some things that are your work, and there are some things that are God's work. Some things that are God's work, right? That are not yours to do. So I want you to really ask yourself, is this mine to do? And if not, can I gracefully let it go? Right? The next letter in self-care is fuel, is F. F stands for fuel in our world. I encourage you to eat live foods when you want energy. Give yourself a structure where you're active and invigorated. It will help your body. It will help your mind. The C in self-care in our world stands for community. Now, I can tell you that before I started doing this work, before I was blessed with this incredible community of friends that has just keeps growing and growing as our Limitless Women family keeps growing, I was like a lot of the women that I meet, and maybe a lot of you. I felt like I had to do it all myself. I felt like there was something wrong with me if I didn't figure out how to do it. If I didn't get everything done that I said I was going to get done, I felt like somehow I was letting somebody down, myself first, and often others. And I'm here to tell you that no one gets there alone. No one reaches a pinnacle of success. And I tend to look at success as a holistic principle, not just financial. And we love helping women reach financial freedom and independence. But I think there's so much more. I think a life well lived in your experience has got to be approached from multiple facets, meaning not just finance, but also your health, also your relationships, also your purpose and your inspiration. When you look at all of these different principles, community is where it's at. So I'm really glad that you're watching this, because I'm doing this Facebook Live inside our Facebook group for the Limitless Women community, and it is really a blessing and an honor to be with you. The next principle I'm going to talk to you about in the personal sector, and I'm also going to talk to you about it in the professional sector. And it's one of the key distinctions that I see happen again and again when I meet a woman who is not being successful in business. And that is that she hasn't figured out how to get her ask on. And what I mean by that is quite simply this: the best request, the most powerful distinction that you can have as a leader when you want to get things done and you want to delegate and you want to allow yourself to be supported so you can grow your business to create the impact you're here to do, is to learn how to have clean asks. Now, clean asks, it sounds like I'm trying to say ask, and I'm saying asks. Clean asks quite simply mean this: you don't always have to give a big story. Not everybody needs to have context, but you've got to be really clear about what is it you're asking for and what's the outcome that you want to achieve. And if you can learn to clearly communicate that to the people around you, you're going to see the whole world move to meet you in a very, very quick way. When we spend a lot of time explaining things, we spend a lot of time justifying things, we spend a lot of time trying to give the whole backstory, what ends up happening is we lose our audience. Now, this can be an audience of one if you're in a conversation with somebody that you're asking to help you. It can be an audience of many, but you just don't need as much story as you think you do, all right? The next letter in self-care is R. And this is the principle ask and receive, are the principles that I want to talk to you about in the business distinction, and I want to talk to you about in a personal distinction. We, as a community of women who are givers, tend to get out of balance, tend to get overwhelmed because we're doing so much for others and we're not doing so much for ourselves. And what I found over the years is that often people around us actually want to contribute to us. Our team wants to do for us. And if we are spending so much time pushing them away and not receiving the gifts and not actually allowing them to support us, we end up blocking that energy. I had a girlfriend who said to me in a mastermind environment, and if you don't know what a mastermind is, it's good context for today's conversation because we have one coming up. But a mastermind is when you get together with other like-minded peers and you share resources and ideas and you problem solve. So I was in a mastermind event, this is back in 2014, and my girlfriend said, you come to these events and you're so good at giving, but whenever we try to give you a gift, you always block it. And she said, do you understand that receiving is a form of giving? And I said, giving is a form of receiving? She said, no. That went right over your head, Laura. Receiving is a form of giving. So if somebody wants to give you a gift, if I'm like, hey Cheryl, here's this great pen that I got at the Hyatt Regency and I want to share it with you. And you're like, no thanks, I got a pen, I don't need it. The giver feels a little blocked. You get the idea? So you're surrounded by people that actually want to do for you, that want to give to you, that want to contribute to you. But most of the time we've got our guard up and we're not allowing ourselves to receive. I want you to practice being a good receiver. It's one of the ways to stay on track when you have these next steps I'm going to cover with you in business. Make sure that you're letting the goodness in. And the E in self-care in our world stands for ease. Now here's the bottom line. We as a species in the developed world, and I say in the developed world because in the undeveloped world where people don't have access to resources, this struggle is real, okay? For those of us that have a roof over our head, that have access to clean water, pardon me while I take a drink, drinking my favorite iced tea, we tend to make things harder than they are. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we tend to most of us tend to feel like there's some kind of valor in struggling, that there's some reason why we have to struggle. It's an old message, and I'm here to tell you that it doesn't serve you. The E in self-care is to follow the path of ease. When you actually allow yourself to be supported, when you actually look at things that are presenting themselves. I was speaking to a friend yesterday who is just on fire with her business right now, and part of it is that she and I were having a conversation about what God would want for us, right? She's another woman who's very faith-based, and she said, God keeps presenting me with these opportunities. And I said, Erica, her name was Erica, great job receiving, great job paying attention and recognizing that the easy path is often there for us. There's no valor in struggling. There's no valor in pushing. It's the old message that we had to be masculine and driven and strong in order to be successful in business. I'm here to tell you it doesn't have to be so hard. So I'm excited to share that the more that I follow the path of ease, the more that I live in flow, the more that I walk in faith, the easier things get. And I want that for you if you feel like you're struggling and overwhelmed. All right, so first principle is put your self-care first. Hopefully some of these I don't know what we call them in the acronym, but some of these principles in the acronym will resonate for you. These are the ones that I find if I come back to them again and again, my life feels a lot better. I show up a lot more engaged, and my whole world starts to flow with more ease and grace. All right, the second principle on how to stay on track personally is to have a daily practice. Now, I consider the daily practice one of those things that doesn't have to take a lot of time, but it does have to be done. And here's the reason why. It's almost like a muscle, right? When you're trying to work out and build muscle tone, it's not like you go to the gym one time and then all of a sudden you've got it handled and you're like a bodybuilder, right? It's the habits that we have. There's a saying that I have that I give away often at my events to my clients in little plaques and things like this, because I love this saying, which is, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. And watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Now we change the words up a little bit and say, watch your character, it becomes your legacy. Because we're a family of women who really care about leaving a legacy. And we're all going to leave a thumbprint here, whether we are aware of it or not, right? So why not live with passion and leave a legacy that makes a difference for others, right? For future generations. I believe that's a life well lived. So in the morning practice, right? I personally think this is the best time to do it, but you may be a person who prefers to do your gratitude and meditation in the evening before you go to bed. In a perfect world, maybe you do it both times. You maybe do it in the morning and in the evening. But in our practice, and same the way I practice and the way that many of my clients and my friends practice, is this. In that quiet space in the morning, when you first wake up, when you're really rested, I encourage you to start with daily gratitude. There's a saying I heard Lynn Twist say once, which is, that which we appreciate appreciates. And you might have heard a spin on that from different places, the law of attraction. We get more of what we focus on. What I've learned quite simply is this. If you can slow down and remember to stay in gratitude for what is, you'll start to attract more of what you want in your life. And it's not rocket science, and it doesn't have to be complicated, because I'm telling you that if you've experienced a wake-up call, either in your own body or in the body of a loved one, if you've recognized this last couple of years with COVID, that time is precious. There was a statistic that I read that said 1 in 100 people died in the United States over the age of 65. Now, don't shoot the messenger, because I'm not sure if that's actually correct. I haven't fact-checked it, but I'll tell you that it made me pause and think. As a person who's 55, I'll be 65, actually I'll be 56 pretty soon here. I'll be 65 in like 10 years. And if God was going to take me home, if not then, now, what would I have wanted my experiences to be? So every day when I wake up, I think, here's another day. Here's another opportunity. That's the first place I give thanks. I give thanks for the body that carries my spirit and my essence in the world. I give thanks for the opportunity to have work that I love that makes a difference for others. I give thanks for learning, that it wasn't always like this. For learning that when I grew up in a family of violence and abuse and neglect and poverty, that was my normal. And I couldn't even imagine growing up in a home where I feel safe. I don't have to worry about somebody coming in to molest me at night, right? Luckily, I've gotten through that. I'm on the other side of that. I don't have to worry about being in a relationship where I might say something that offends my husband and he hits me. I don't have that in my life anymore, right? I'm telling you these things not because I want you to feel sorry for me or celebrate my successes, but because I want to remind you that each one of you, because I know as I'm seeing your names pop up here, Janet Grace, Janet Gervers, Audrey, Angela, Cheryl, Kate, hello my loves. As I'm seeing you pop up here, I know you. You're my girlfriends. You have experiences as well that you've overcome. And if you're struggling with finding something to be grateful about, I encourage you to just look back a little bit. Just look back at where you were and look here to where you are today and ask yourself, what feels great and what do I want more of, right? I give gratitude every day for my strong, balanced, capable body. It has bad days, it has stuff going on sometimes, but you know what? It keeps carrying me forward, and I'm just so grateful for that. So I want you to think about the power of actually starting your day in this way, because this is what this call is all about. This call is about how do you stay on track? How do you stay on track with what matters to you? And this is one of the things. Give yourself time and space to be clear and be clear in your asks. And remember that you are receiving, that it's already happening for you. All right. Third, practice. Oh, wait, one more thing on number two. Number two, after I do my gratitude piece, because this might be helpful for some of you, the other thing that I do is that because I'm a faith-based person, so I start with gratitude, then I move into prayer. And my prayer each day is as I ask the Lord to show me, what would you have me do today? What would you have me do today that would be in the highest and best for this lifetime you've gifted me with? What would honor you? This is my conversations with God, but choose your own, right? What would honor God's wish for my life? And what would move me closer to the goals of my dreams, right? When we first started Limitless Women, it's been birthed, right? It started out as Powered with Passion, then it moved to Passion, Purpose, Profits, and then it evolved into Legacy Leaders. That was our first branding. Legacy Leaders then birthed Limitless Women, and I feel like we found our lane, right? This is the place that you know us as. For those of you that are new friends, some of you have been friends of mine for a long time. You've been on the journey, but end of 2014, beginning of 2015 is when we really put our stake in the sand and said, okay, this is a business that is philanthropy first. This is a business that's going to create impact for women, not only by changing their lives, but by inviting them as they become healed in their own consciousness to join me and our whole community in eradicating poverty and healing poverty. And I'm here to celebrate with you today that as of today, as I'm looking at this March 30th, we are over $600,000 in donations thanks to you. And that did not happen by any big donors. The Gates Foundation did not write us a check, as much as we would welcome their support. It's our job to support them, right? To support those nonprofits out there in the world that are making a difference. And we have a very special way of doing it in our world. And it starts with a $10 donation, a $50 donation. Each of us coming together has collectively created impact in 5 continents. You know, we haven't gotten to Australia yet, and we haven't gotten to Antarctica, but we are all over the world right now making a difference for women and children's, not only women and children, but predominantly women and children's causes. So I just want to honor you and thank you for being a part of this family of entrepreneurs that are using their profits for purpose. So thank you for being a part of our family. I'm just so excited about that, right? There's my celebration. All right. Number 3 to staying on track personally is, here's a new Laura quote, choose your news. Choose your news. What are you feeding this delicious, beautiful brain of yours? You know, I talked at the beginning of this call about being not a type A, but a triple A. You are gifted. You are full of opportunities. You are a woman who is called to make a big difference in the world. And Carrie, if you're still with us, you're a man who's along those same lines, one of the unique men that are part of our family. Here's the deal. You've been given this opportunity. How are you choosing to meet it? And part of that is just like you wouldn't feed your body ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and expect to have tremendous energy. You might have a little sugar high, but you're not going to have the energy to get out and do what you want your body to do. Your mind needs you to be selective. Your mind needs you to choose your news. And I'm not a fan of saying just go put your head in the sand and pretend like you don't know what's going on. But I have a good friend, and I talked about this on, what day is today's Wednesday, so I talked about this on Saturdays live. I have a good friend who is at a very different end of the spectrum from me politically. She's a dear friend. I love and respect her. She's a genius in her business, and we just see some things differently in politics. And she said to me recently, we were together, she said, you know, you and I both get the news we believe in. And I thought that was really telling, and it made me think about this. Where am I getting my news, right? And so I'll just tell you my sources, and I think you can get your own sources where you want to. I love that we have this opportunity to be on social media together, and I would say that this is not where I consider that I get my news. All right, now I personally think that sometimes the news in the United States can be very sensational. I have a criminal justice minor in my degree. My major is political science before I went to law school. And, you know, there's just a lot that happens in the media that can be a little wonky. So I tend to look for unconscious, let me think if I'm saying this word like, I try to look for news sources that I feel are a little less biased, and then I also try to gather from different places. So this is going to freak some of you out, but my first priority, my first like unbiased news source, I would say, is NPR. And I could be wrong about that, but that feels calm and not sensational. And I feel like when I hear things there, I feel that somebody's done their research, right? It's National Public Radio. It's something that is the first place I listen to. The other place I like is BBC, because it's often really telling for me to get a perspective that's international, not just a United States perspective. One of the things I learned early on traveling as a young woman was that we are very egocentric, those of us that are born in the United States, just because our school system has taught us to be this way. It's not a bad thing, it's not a good thing, it's just an is thing. Versus when I am blessed to be traveling around the world and meeting just sisters and brothers that have grown up in different nations, they learn a lot about other countries, way more than we do in world perspectives. So, you know, I tend to look for an international perspective. And then I'll check in to two sources. I'll check into CNN, I'll check into Fox News headlines, not because I'm trying to endorse either one of those, but I've got to tell you, it's good to get a round perspective. Now, all of my news gathering takes about 15 to 20 minutes every 2 to 3 days. Now, that may be shocking for some of you that are like my husband and feel like you need to check in every single day. There's most of the things that are happening in the world that are beyond the scope of my capacity to impact. So I want to know what's going on, but I don't want to feed my brain with a lot of sensationalism. So choose your news is the third criteria I have for you for staying on track personally. It will help you feel better, it will help you be informed, but it will also keep you out of the fear factor and feeling like things are bigger than they are in your own perspective. All right, ready to move on to business? First of all, let me pause right here as I take a sip of tea and ask, as we're about the halfway mark, does anybody have any questions, comments, or anything that you've heard in what I've shared so far that's been helpful for you? Kate Payne, I was thinking about you when I was writing that this morning. Choose your news. I thought, I thought Kate Payne, my genius, standing out online friend, is going to help me figure this out. But I thought that was a new cute phrase. All right, choose your news. Thank you. Anybody else hear anything else that's helpful for you, Donna? I'm not sure which statistic that you love. It might have been for the folks that are 65 and older, which is a lot of our community, right? There's a lot of us. We're a mature community. We don't. I just got introduced to a young woman who was 30, and I said, you know, this is what we're about. We're about philanthropy first. And she said what most 30-year-olds say: I love this, and someday I hope I'm going to get there. But in the meantime, she's still trying to figure out her own sufficiency, which is maybe what you should be doing when you're 25 and 30 years old. The donations number. Yeah, thanks, Donna. Thanks so much for being a part of our family and being a part of those contributions. We so love you and so appreciate you. Janet, look back at where you were and where you are today. You know, that's the such a helpful tactic for me personally, is that when I feel like I want to compare myself to somebody who's farther along or somebody who has more clients or a bigger business, I'm always reminded of how far I've come and all the blessings that I've been really, really honored to receive. So yeah, ask yourself what you like and ask for more of it. And self-care first. Okay, good. Angela, I'm so glad that I put self-care in here. I wasn't sure I was going to do it. Oh, and nice. And so Kate has a resource for us, which is what we love in the Limitless Women community, but don't go there right now, please. Okay, we'll talk about it in a little bit. I'll make sure I recap it when I get to the piece, because I have a few more things to tell you about business that I think are super important. All right, here's the 3 things I want to tell you about how to stay on track with your business when the world seems to be distracting you and feeling kind of crazy. The first is that I want you to go back to your vision, your mission, and your core values of your organization. Now, if you haven't done this as an exercise, reach out to me. I'll share some resources with you about how we do this. But I've got to tell you that every time I start to work with a private client, pardon me, these are the women that I consider my business partners. I have a few men, but for the most part, my clients are women. We always start with this. And I'll tell you why. It's super important that you have this cornerstone in your business. I remember hearing Tony Robbins recently say that somebody was asking him like how he gets motivated, how he gets so fired up. And he said, I never have to fire myself up. I never have to get motivated. My vision and my mission is so strong that it pulls me forward. And it really inspired me when I heard that, because I thought, you know, we're on a mission to give our way to millions, not just millions of dollars, but millions of lives impacted. And we ask ourselves, I say we because it's not just me, right? We have community, we have team. How do we move ourselves closer to that goal? How do we actually, as a team, create impact that heals poverty? I say heals because there's a lot of conversation about breaking cycles, and I feel like from the feminine perspective, it feels much more loving and embracing to heal poverty. And I feel like each one of us together plays a part in that tapestry of love that we're here to create. So thank you again for being a part of this family. Get clear about your vision, your mission, your purpose, and your core values of your company. You're going to need them. As your business grows, as the world comes in, as life is happening, you know, you're going to have your situations. Sorry, I just had a little bit of a brain fart. I was thinking about being in the hospital with Scott and having his doctor look at me and say, your husband's dying and I can't do anything about it. And I just, you know, I just stopped for a minute because, number one, it took away my breath. But I stopped for a minute and I thought, you know what, I can choose to accept this, or I can ask another question. I'm still here, he's not dead yet, what can I ask? And I asked him, I said, what else you got? You know, those of you that play with me and work with me, you'll hear me say that again and again, like, what else you got? You got this? What else you got? And he said, well, I've done what I can do, but there's another thing. But I think if I hadn't asked that question, when he said to me, you can take him home and he may die this weekend, or he may die in the next few weeks, I can't tell you, but it's close, I could have just said, okay. And I wasn't up for that. I was like, no, I'm in a hospital. I know this doesn't feel like it's the end. What else you got? And here's the thing. I'm going to move you into this because it's important in life and business. Who else? Who else can help us with this? You're a great doctor. You saved his life. You got him in here. Now what, right? Think about that. When life is happening, you can choose to either say, okay, I'm going to let this take me down, or I can ask for another solution. I can be more creative. Here's the thing I want you to remember. This is like if Katarina was listening to this, and she might listen to it in the future, this Katarina Rando, one of our dear legacy leaders that we love so much, super tip alert. She goes, bing, 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 super tip alert. You don't have to take what you hear and just be with it. You're a founder. You're an entrepreneur. You've been bestowed with the gift of creativity. It's very different than billions of folks on the planet. Billions don't have access to resources. Billions have jobs. And then there's us. There's these quirky ones that we are that are unique and different, that have been formed in creativity, to be leaders in the world, to take our curiosity, to take our super fast, smart brains, and to ask the questions that create shift and change in the world. You know, one of the ways that I've gotten Audrey to come on our team and somehow gotten her to stay with me for a couple of years, I think we're coming up in a couple of years, Audrey, is to be really clear that we have the opportunity to create shift and change in the world. I say that because she's somebody that I love and respect so much as a girlfriend. I don't know if she's still on here. I know she was on earlier. But those of you that are part of our family know what a gift she is to our community. And she is so highly, what's the word I'm looking for? She's so highly courted. That's the word we use. She's so highly recruited by other people. Big leaders, big names, big companies want her in their organization. And we get to keep her in our small and mighty family so far because our work, our mission speaks to her heart. You know, the greatest thing you can experience, I believe, as a founder is a business that actually grows without you, a business that goes on and creates impact, whether you're working or not, right? We talk about your time freedom, your financial freedom, the emotional freedom to know that your business is making a difference in changing lives is a juicy place. And I just don't hear this conversation other places. I see a lot of stuff out there in the world about marketing on, how to make money. There's lots of places you can go to learn how to make money. There's lots of stuff you can go to learn about what's the newest, next most spangled marketing thing. But I got to tell you, there's something very unique in this lane that we play in Limitless Women, that's truly committed to impact. Not because it looks good, that's called strategic philanthropy, but because we've all realized as a community of mature individuals that have moved through a lot of struggle, that have moved through personal development to get to self-actualization, that beyond that, we get to give. And that there's something really special in the environment of that. And so this is probably a good segue as it's coming through. We have our 8th annual Limitless Women Leadership and Legacy. I'm looking up because sometimes I say legacy and leadership. Our 8th annual Leadership and Legacy Mastermind coming up. We're going to be meeting in Orange County, California, in Newport Beach, in a delicious hotel, a Renaissance, that we've been wanting to get into for years. And they have space for us this year. So we're super, super stoked. They've gone through a big remodel. They have this gorgeous garden. We'll be having lunch every day. The ballroom has these ceilings that I think are probably like 40 feet high. I don't know. It's a big, spacious environment. And they're giving it all to us. And so we have this opportunity to come together. And why I'm telling you this is that those of you who've been at previous Limitless Women events can speak to this. There's some testimonials on the website if you want to go and look at them. But there's something magical that happens when we disconnect from our day-to-day operations and we reconnect to our purpose. And this event is my favorite, and I say this because I like each of the events that we offer. We teach very specific business principles in different events, but this one is just a love fest. This is an opportunity where I invite 100 of my girlfriends to come together and to share the best of what we've got. What's working? What are the principles that you're finding in your best practices? What are you learning that is tried and true, that's helped you build your business? And I say this because most of the women that come to this event have been in business for a long time. This is another reason why when somebody introduces me to a 30-year-old that's just starting, I may send her some love and encouragement, and you really just be excited to meet her. But our community is for mature, spiritually connected women who are mission focused, right? So the women that come together that are mature, that have been around, they know what's tried and true in business, and we combine that with what's current and relevant. Not what's a flash in the pan, not what's the next distraction, but what is tried and true married with current and relevant that's causing a fast spiral of success, right? Not a spinning like you're out of control, but a really beautiful circle, a whole circle, giving and receiving, problem solving, solutions. We talk a lot about what does it take to not only be a leader in today's economy, regardless of what's happening, regardless about recessions, regardless about COVID. And I'm not trying to be unkind, but I will tell you that it is my personal belief that if you are alive and breathing, God is not done with you yet. And if you have a calling on your life to make a difference in the world, the best thing you can do is to get yourself in community with like-minded leaders who will pull you forward and support you. Because here's the deal, we get it. We understand how you feel. We all experience that, holy goodness, it's the end of the day and there's more, right? We go to sleep with our businesses, we wake up with our businesses, we work on having healthy boundaries and really understanding family first is a gift. And at the same time, this burning yearning that we have in our lives and our businesses is really hard to explain to somebody who's an employee. There's nothing wrong with having a job, but it's just a different way of being. So in this incubator, I'll tell you, it's a bit like hosting a wedding. And it's so funny because my new personal assistant, Selena, is getting married on Sunday. Everybody say, hi, Selena, happy congratulations, wedding Sunday. She will not be with us because she's getting married. She may probably not on this call, at least I hope not. Anyway, as she and I are planning, she's like, oh my gosh, there's so much of this that's just like my wedding. I'm like, I know, flowers and presents and music and staging, you know what I mean? And like, what are we gonna wear? There's so much that goes on to create the environment that has the capacity to be not only safe, but also energetically sacred. And I say that to you with all due love and respect for wherever you're coming from in your belief system. I have to tell you that I believe this work is sacred work. I believe those of us that have a calling on our lives to use our work to create healing in the world are doing what we call our God's work. I heard that first from Tracy Trottenberg. I want to give her credit for that. When you know that you get to do work that's here to make a difference, there's something very sacred in that environment. And it is my responsibility as the host to, at least I feel like that, that's how I take it. Each year when we do this, we haven't been able to be together for 3 years. So I'm going to tell you something. This year's event is going to blow your socks off. Those of you that are coming, yeah, we get together, we spend it's a 3-day commitment, right? But you don't have to be there all 3 days because we start late on day 1, meaning we start at 2 in the afternoon. So you have a day to get things done in the morning and travel there. We work together Thursday afternoon. We have a reception where we get a chance to just love on each other and really build deep relationships. We have a full day of intensive sessions of training, masterminding, and working all day on Friday. We have an optional session with me, unplugged, on Friday evening. We call them love seats if you're interested. And then and it's optional, you don't have to come in the evening if you don't want to, but those of you that are traveling in from out of town, sometimes the Love Fest is the best on Friday evening. And then Saturday morning we get up and we have brunch. What I found over the years is having a 3-day event, often women would come in the morning, have lunch and then leave. So we just changed it. We're like, if you want a half day on day 3, it's a half day. So we do brunch in the morning. We do our training, our sessions, our wrap-ups, our principles, our plans of action, right? Because all the best development and creativity in the world and design doesn't really help if you don't have an action plan. So we work on that on day 3. How are you going to take it out in the world? What are your implementation steps? And how are we going to support you in staying accountable? So we wrap up on Friday at 2 in the afternoon. So there's some principles about, or like the details. All of it's online at the website. Kate, I can't wait for you to be there. Hey, Elizabeth Patricia Connor, so nice to see you, my love. Are you checking in with us from Costa Rica? Limitless Women. Elizabeth Patricia Connor has a gorgeous retreat center in Costa Rica. If you haven't checked it out, please do. You'll love to know what she's up to, and you can put your place in there, Elizabeth, if you're here. So yeah, so the event is at limitlesswomen.com/mastermind. What I will tell you is this: early bird pricing ends on the 1st. The 1st is Saturday, unless I'm telling you a story. No, the 1st is Friday. Friday is the end of early bird pricing. I do not sell tickets. You are seeing this Facebook Live because you are inside our private community. I invite 100 women only to come together. There's personal reach outs that we do. Our clients take a lot of the seats, just because they do, and they're already in the work and they love the work and they're creating impact and growing their businesses. So there's a few seats left, and I will tell you that, Janet, all the agenda is on the website, sweetie. If you just go there, you'll see it. That the piece around growing your business that happens inside community is really special. So let me give you what I promised you for today, because I want to be cognizant of everybody's time and wrap up at the top of the hour. All right, so the 3 things you can do in business to stay on track in business is this. The first one is to get really clear and go back and revisit your vision, your mission, and your core values. When you live inside your purpose, it will pull you forward. I encourage you to write it up, print it out. It's one of the things we do with all of our clients. Keep it front of mind, because it will keep you fired up and on track. The second thing I want to encourage you to do is to start operating with blinders. What I mean by that is quite simply this. Most of the women that I meet that are struggling and that are not hitting their revenue goals are doing either one of 2 things. They're either doing the wrong activities, or they're doing the right activities in the wrong order. We work very specifically and very strategically to take our clients through what we know works, right? If you put operations and point of sale and SOPs before you put your marketing message together, you're never going to succeed. And I'm not trying to be, punitive here or make anybody feel bad, but I got to tell you, there's a very strategic way of doing business. And I've had 9 very successful companies. I've sold 6 of them. At this point, I've helped thousands of women with their businesses. I'm here to tell you there's an order to things, and it works. When you are getting distracted by everybody else's stuff that's coming in, and your email is on your telephone, I don't even know where my phone is right now, but your email's on your phone, and you're constantly stopping to answer other people's requests, you're not getting things done that you need to get done. Remember when we were in the personal and I said, you've got to start the morning asking, what is the most important thing I can do today? What is, Shannon Graham has a great saying, he's a friend of mine, what is the one activity that's going to have the highest probability of the deepest impact? Now, I ask to be shown this by God. That's my belief system. I will tell you that it comes rushing in. Usually one thing comes in, sometimes 2 or 3, but I really believe in this. It's another principle. Go really focused, narrow and deep, and do a couple of things every day that will move your business and your life to a new level. You're going to have much better results than trying to win the, I'm coming up with a name here, but like the, overdoers Olympics. There's no value in doing 50 or 100 things that are not the things that are going to move you to the next level. So you have to do things in order, and you have to be very careful about what you're doing. This requires you to be not available for other people's agendas. You've got to be really clear about, these are the things that I've committed to doing. These are the activities that are going to change the trajectory of my life and my business, and I'm only doing these. So I'm not going to let distractions come in. Now, I don't have a lot of time to go into the principle of how we communicate and what we do in project management software, and all those things are available. I think I have 100 videos on my YouTube channel and 80 podcast episodes at this point. So lots of training for me if you're just looking for free stuff. But I'll tell you that, again, the women that are going to be at the event and our clients who are coming are blowing up their businesses in a way that's graceful, where they still have space to be with their families, where their relationships are blossoming, where grandbabies are coming. I'm thinking about Betsy. There's a lot of good stuff that's happening in their lives, working 20 hours a week, 25 hours a week, blowing past that 6-figure mark if that's what they want to create. It doesn't have to be so hard, but some of these principles require discipline, it requires accountability, and it requires structure. And most everybody I meet, including myself, has a hard time doing it alone. So if you're struggling alone, stop struggling. Come play with us. Let us support you. Get to California and join us. Grab early bird pricing. I started to say this about the thing. We don't sell tickets. I invite 100 women. Once we're full, no more space. We ask the women who come to make a contribution towards their meals and materials, because we're together for 3 days and we're feeding you, and we have a cocktail reception, and we have all kinds of good things going on for you. You're actually receiving materials. You're receiving things that we use in our business. So meals and materials, there's a fee for that. That fee is discounted by $200 if you take action and register before Friday. Okay, there's that. Third principle goes back to what we talked about in self-care, and that is to allow yourself to receive support. Now, where I see women who are growing, we have different phases of women who are coming. We have emerging businesses that come in to our business school. They're not usually in the conversation so much about legacy and leadership yet because they have to monetize. We've got principles and trainings for that. If that's where you're at, let me know if you and I can talk, and I'm happy to give you some direction about how we help you there. If you're in a place where you've already established your proof of concept, you've got a business model that's working, you've got clear messaging, and you're monetizing, then we move you into building your legacy. And the women who are building their legacy are really faced with this principle again and again, which is the third thing I want to share with you, which is allowing yourself to be supported. So when you're building, one of the things you start doing is you start moving into your growth phase of growing a team. You've got revenue coming in that's paying for your team. You want to bring more team in so you can scale, right? When you're in the scaling conversation, it's really important for you to give the people around you the reins in order to grow. You will have grown your business to a certain point. Most women I find at about 100, somewhere between 100 and 250,000, they have done what they can do individually, all right? This just is what it is. They need some help. Okay, there's no way they can go farther than that. They start bringing in one assistant. They start bringing in a bookkeeper. We have, again, lots and lots of trainings about how to hire that I'm happy to share with you. Then what starts happening is they start getting some momentum and they start scaling their companies if that's their desire. Some are happy, $250,000. They got a couple people on their team, they're blowing it out, they're great, okay? But some are really looking at how do I scale and grow. The only way to do that is to surround yourself with people who are highly talented and really great at what they do. And where the stopgap happens, and this happens in my own business, that's why I'm telling on myself, it has happened, and we work on it constantly, is getting me out of the way, getting me out of day-to-day operations so that the business continues to grow, the message continues to create impact, service and delivery is happening for clients and customers, and you're starting to reach more lives. Because here's the big secret to making more money. If you want to know, if you want to make more money, touch more lives. It's really that simple, all right? Create amazing value, reach more people, and you'll start to see your bank account start to grow. And it's very exciting. It's very exciting. All right, so quick recap. Early bird pricing for the event, for the 8th annual Limitless Women event. This happened once per year. It's been online for the last 2 years. We are back in person, which means that it is not available online. If you don't come in person, you're not going to be with us. We love you, and we'll let you know how it is. You'll see lots of pictures from people that are having a great time. I'm not trying to sell you on FOMO, but I'm saying if you know you're a woman who is tired of being stuck at a certain revenue that doesn't reflect what you know is in your heart as your impact here in the world, come and play with us. If you're a woman who's tired of being overwhelmed, if you're tired of feeling like you just know there's more, but you don't know how to get there, come and be with us and let us love on you. Let us pour into you and share with you what it is that we've got here. I made some notes to let you know what you can expect here. So mature, experienced women business owners coming together just to learn, connect, and grow their businesses. That's really what we're about. What I know is that when you don't have access to resources, it can feel very, very scary and overwhelming to grow your business. When you're surrounded by sisters and friends who have gone before you, there's no comparison. It's like you may have something I need and I may have something you need, but if we don't come together in the spirit of contribution, we're not going to know it, right? You've got to show up. You got to show up for yourself to make it happen. So grab your early bird pricing while you still can and save $200 on your meals and materials, and keep yourself on track. So we're meeting on April 21st, 22nd, 23rd. We're in Orange County at the Newport Beach Renaissance. It is a delicious hotel. I will tell you, I stayed there a few weeks ago, and the room rate at that point was $370 a night. We have rooms, and we have just a few left in the block. They've just added a few more for us at $169 a night. So if you're traveling in from out of town, you want to get on our website, get your room, book it. You want to make sure you save it because it's too sad to have you come in and not be able to stay with us if you're going to come and play. Limitless Women, I don't know if Audrey's still here. I should have just asked her to help me with this. limitlesswomen.com/mastermind is where you can, I didn't spell it right. www.limitlesswomen.com/mastermind. MIND. It is a true mastermind event, which means that There's a 100 women only. If I could have every one of them on stage teaching you their best practices, I would. It's going to go fast. It is a retreat environment because you want to be there and disconnect from day-to-day operations and really tap into the magic that's available for you in a sacred environment where you're safe and fed and nourished. Don't come if you're not ready to go fast. I will just say that as I wrap up here. Women who I work with, who are my business partners, hire me because they want to stop wasting time. They've reached a certain age. Most of our clients are over the age of 45. They are tired of messing around. They are tired of struggling. When you come into our world, you've got to put your seatbelt on and you've got to be ready to go fast, because we're here to move you into impact, and everything that I can do to help you get out of your own way, to help you stay on track with your leadership, to really be in love with your legacy, and to build a rock star team around you that helps that become a reality so that money becomes the easy part, is, it's kind of our specialty. It's our secret sauce. So come and play with us if you're ready to make a difference in the world. If you're ready to stop struggling, know that I'm here for you. If you have any questions for me, because we're coming to the top of the hour, please send me a message. You also can book, I think this still works here, Limitless Women Apply, limitlesswomen.com/apply should put you into my calendar. You can just send me a message here through Facebook if you want to, but you can also apply to get on my calendar. I'm going to Mexico next week to meet with our builders down there, so there won't be any time available next week. But if you have questions about the event, I'm around all weekend. I'm so happy to jump on a quick call with you. If you have other girlfriends that you want to bring to the party, well, it's early bird pricing. It's pretty much 2-for-1 pricing. Grab a girlfriend, come, and spend the weekend with us, really going on a deep dive and enriching your life and your purpose. All right, I think I've got everything that I wanted to cover. The world needs you. I so appreciate you taking time for yourself today to receive support and love. I hope you found some of this helpful. I always say, if I'm full of poop, your old life is waiting. So try some of these principles and see how they start to shift and change your ease and flow. Stay on track. You've got a special gift, you've got a special calling, and we need you. We need you to step up and make the difference that you're here to make today. And I'm really grateful that you're spending this time doing this. If you found this video helpful, subscribe now so you'll be notified as we share new tips and trainings. To learn more about how we can help you grow your business, visit us at limitlesswomen.com and check out our business school, community, and live events. I look forward to connecting with you soon.